Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to you, whoever you're joining from any part of the world. It is a great pleasure for Jadavpur University Press to be hosting this event in collaboration with the Japan Foundation. My name is Abhijit Gupta. I'm the director of Jadavpur University Press, and on behalf of the press, uh, we are very thrilled and honored to be able to organize this special event, this interaction with the eminent Japanese writer Ogawa Yoko, who will be in conversation with Professor Abhijit Mukherjee on the occasion of the publication of the Bengali translation of her highly regarded novel Hakase no Aishita Suushiki, which has been translated into Bengali by Professor Abhijit Mukherjee. And today we will be discussing the novel as well as launching the novel for the public. It's, again, as I said, a great privilege for us to have this very rare opportunity to interact with the author, and we thank Ogawa Yoko-san for taking out her time and joining us from faraway Japan. I would also like to introduce our viewers to the others who will be participating in this event. I warmly welcome the new Director General of Japan Foundation in New Delhi, Koji Sato-san. Welcome, Sato-san, to this event. I would also very warmly welcome uh, Kitaba Katsura-san, representing the cultural section of the Consulate General of Japan in Kolkata. Welcome, Katsura-san. We are joined by An Sato-san, who will be doing the difficult task of interpretation. So she will be interpreting between Professor Abhijit Mukherjee-san and Kogawa-san. I also welcome Aoi Ishimaru-san of the Japan Foundation, who has been involved in organizing this project from the beginning. Suchishmita Ghosh-san, who has been the copy editor in Bengali from Jadavpur University Press. A few words of introduction, perhaps, are in order, though Ogawa Yoko-san needs no introduction to everyone who has joined today. She has written more than 30 works of fiction and non-fiction, and she has received every major Japanese literary prize. Her works have been translated into more than 30 languages that include works such as Kamoko no Shigai, Midara Natomurai, and of course, the current novel, Hakaso no Aishita Suushiki, and Hisuyaka na Kesho, which is translated to English as Memory Police. Some of our viewers may be familiar with the title. She's also a member of the selection committee for Japanese literary awards, including the Akutagawa Prize. She has been presenting a weekly book talk on a Japanese radio program for more than 10 years, and she currently lives in Ashia in Japan. Welcome to you, Ogawa Yoko-san. And it is my great pleasure to welcome my colleague and our translator of this particular work, Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, who is former head of Department of Electrical Engineering in Jadavpur University. He has taught at Kanazawa University, Japan, and received training in Japanese language at the Japan Foundation. His notable translations from the original Japanese include Murakami Haruki's Umebo no Kafuka. And I'm sorry, I'm using the English titles now because I'm not familiar. The Elephant Vanishes and Men Without Women. Also, Mishima Yuko's Kinkakuji. He has translated all these novels, all from for Jadavpur University Press, and many of these publications have been supported by the Japan Foundation. He received the Leela Roy Memorial Award in 2017 from the West Bengal Bangla Academy for his translation of Japanese literature into Bengali. With these words of introduction, may I now request the Director General of Japan Foundation, New Delhi, Mr. Koji Sato-san, to say a few words.
小川陽子さん、Mr. Abhijit Gupta, Director of JP Press, and Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, and Ms. Katsura of Consulate General of Japan, Kolkata, and friends, Namaskar. Thank you very much for sparing time to attend today's book launch event of Bengali translation of Hakase no Aishita Suushiki, authored by Yoko Ogawa-san. It is great and commendable sorry. It is great and commendable that one good story of literature of Japan is being passed on and read in India in translation. On behalf of the Japan Foundation that supported this translation, and as an individual who is one of many fans of Ogawa-san's literature, I am really excited to imagine many Bengali readers will take the book and enjoy this literature and enrich their life experience. In the age of globally digitized communication, you can communicate with people beyond your locality. It is really convenient and practical. However, at the same time, it has obviously limitation of being shallow and difficult to be substantially emotional. All because of that, I think this very human story where people help and supplement and share trust and affection each other touches people's heart and has been read and loved so much. I am more than thankful to JU Press and the translator, Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, for planning and accomplishing the translation, as well as Yoko-san for saying yes to go for translation. I'm very much looking forward to today's wonderful talk and conversation by Ogawa-san and Abhijit-san. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those words of welcome and encouragement, Sato-san. We are very grateful for Japan Foundation's continuing support to Yamato University Press and its literary activities. I think we were joined by Katsura-san. Yes, Katsura-san has joined us. I hope you're not facing any problems with the connection. If you would perhaps switch on your camera and Katsura-san, then we'll just wait for a little bit for Kitaba Katsura-san, representing the cultural section of the Consulate General of Japan in Calcutta. Maybe there is a problem for joining from that side. We could perhaps start the program and then invite Katsura-san to make a few remarks at the end. Let me now progress to the real the part of the meeting everyone is eagerly waiting for, a conversation and interaction between Ogawa Yoko-san and Abhijit Mukherjee-san. May I invite Professor Mukherjee to please take the chair and start the conversation. Thank you.
Hello. So, not only myself as a translator and a reader of Japanese literature, but even many readers of Japanese literature in this city were waiting for this program, and they are very grateful to Ogawa-san because she has agreed to participate in one such program.
翻訳者として、そして日本文学の一人の読者としての私だけではなく、この都市にいるたくさんの日本文学の読者たちがこの日を待っていました。本日はこのプログラムに小川さんをお迎えできることを大変嬉しく思っております。
So I start by asking a question, which is, I think, a very important one, at least for me, to understand several aspects of appreciation of literature, foreign literature.
では私からいくつか小川さんに質問させていただきたいと思うんですけれども、私が伺う質問というのは、少なくとも私にとっては外国文学のさまざまな側面を理解する上で非常に重要だと考える質問となります。
So, in 1968, Kawabata Yasunari-san received Nobel Prize in Literature. At that time, I was a school student. But within a few years from that event, I found that Japanese writers like Mishima Yukio-san and Tanizaki Junichiro-san, they are held at a very high esteem, but the number of readership was limited to only serious readers.
1968年、川端康成がノーベル文学賞を受賞しました。その時私は学生でした。その後数年の間に三島由紀夫や谷崎潤一郎をはじめとする日本の作家に対する評価が非常に高まりましたけれども、とは言いながらも日本文学の読者というところで見ると本格的に文学を読む人たちに限られていました。
So there has been a qualitative change in the situation. The writers of the yesteryear were much respected, but the readership was limited. But today, Japanese writers are very popular among the common readers of the society.
しかしこの状況は大きく変わったと思います。過去、小説が評価されていても読者としては本格的に文学を好む方たちに限られていたのが、今日では日本文学自体の人気が非常に高まりまして、より幅広い読者を獲得しています。
So what I consider is that certain things have happened in the meantime. One such thing is that the overseas Japanese language schools performed very well. I'm grateful to Japan Foundation that they published very, very important study material for the students, and also thus people from all over the world had better opportunity to be introduced to several cultural aspects of Japan. They could know better about the Japan.
ですので私といたしましてはその間に何かがあったと考えています。例えば海外における日本語学校での日本語教育が非常にうまくいった、国際交流基金が非常に素晴らしい日本語の教材を作成してくださいまして、それによって日本語を学ぶ学生にとってもより幅広い日本文化の側面に知る機会が得られ、そして日本への理解が深まったのだと思います。
Another thing that happened is perhaps, in my consideration, the grip of materialist philosophy in the literary world has perhaps loosened a bit compared to how it was in the early 70s and in the 60s.
そしてもう一つ、これは私の見立てによるものにはなりますけれども、文学が題材とする哲学概念というものが1960年代、70年代に扱っていたものと少し変わってきたのではないかと思います。
The third thing that has happened is that the internet provides several additional channels of information so that a reader can select whatever literature suits the reader through book clubs, over international book clubs, etc.
そして3つ目の理由といたしましては、インターネットが登場したことによってさらなる情報のチャンネルを得ることができ、読者からしますと各国で展開をしているブッククラブなどもありますので、何を読むかということに対してより多くの選択肢を手にしたのではないかと思います。
And finally, what we observed is the appearance of Murakami Haruki-san, who overnight became very, very popular. and many people were introduced to Japanese literature by reading him. In addition to that, I am will all be benefited to know, is there any perceivable difference in the form and content of today's Japanese literature that is making them more popular than the literature of yesteryears?
そして最後に村上春樹さんの登場を理由として挙げることができると思います。非常に大きな人気を獲得しまして、そして村上春樹さんの作品を読むことによって日本文学への、日本文学への扉が開かれたという読者も多いのではないかと思います。で、私が今申し上げたこと以外に何か日本文学が、かつてとは違う人気を獲得してきたことに関して、どういった理由があるとお考えになりますか？
川端も三島も谷崎も現代の日本でも非常に読まれ続けている作家です。そしてそういう作家たちが例えばインドで読まれる場合、例えば日本人って何を考えてるんだろう、日本ってどういう国なんだろうっていう日本そのものに対する興味が根底に、あった上で、川端や三島や谷崎や安部公房などが読まれていたのではないかなと想像するんです。
So in modern Japan, authors such as Kawabata Yasunari, Mishima Yukio, and Tanizaki Junichiro are still widely read. And I imagine that when these writers' creations are read in India, I think there is a basic interest in Japan. What do Japanese people think, or what Japanese country is like? Based on that interest, I imagine that Indian leaders read the works done by Kawabata, Mishima, Tanizaki, or Abe Kobo.
ところが日本文学にとっても大きな衝撃だったんですが、村上春樹という人がほとんど彗星のように現れてくるわけです。村上春樹はアメリカ文学に非常に若い頃から親しんで、彼のデビュー作はまず英語で書き始めたっていう有名なエピソードがあります。つまり村上春樹は最初から国境を越えた作家だったんですね。
And then the emergence of Murakami Haruki was such a big shock in Japan. So he came to the scene all of the sudden, and he has the influence of American literature from the young age, and it is a famous episode, but actually Murakami's first story was written in English. In that sense, he was a borderless writer from the beginning.
ですから村上春樹の書く人間、登場人物たちが持つ普遍性っていうのが世界で受け入れられるときに村上春樹作品を読んでる人はこれが日本人が書いたっていうことを実はあんまり意識してないんじゃないか、それがいい方向に向いた何人であるかっていうことの枠を超えて人間そのものに深く入り込んでいく経験が春樹文学を通して世界中でなされたんじゃないかなというふうに思います。
So, however, when the universality in Murakami's the characters are accepted globally, I think people do not think that these characters are Japanese. They really do not care where they come from. However, what they see is the human being's character in a very deep sense. And I think that is what happened globally, and that is why Murakami's literature was accepted.
そして運がいいことに、村上春樹さんの次の世代である私のような人間にとってみると、村上春樹さんから日本文学に触れた人が、日本にはこういうことを書く作家もいるのか、こんなことを書く作家もいるのかっていうふうに、村上春樹を入り口にして、実はいろんな、当然ながら日本でもさまざまな文学が書かれているっていうことに気がついてもらえたんだと思います。
And luckily enough, people started to lead the works done by authors who are next generation to Murakami. So they are readers who entered Japanese literature from Murakami. Then through that experience, now they are finding out that the Japanese literature are actually very diverse and there are various kinds of writers.
Okay, then my next, what I want to know is that as a reader from a foreign country, I observed that there is one issue present in all the writers of the yesteryears and to a large extent in the present writers also, is an anxiety regarding continuity of culture. That means the flow of time takes away things and we have to face the pain of loss.
はい、そして今の、お話の上で私一人の外国の読者として伺いたいことがあるんですけれども、これまでの過去の日本の作家だけではなく現在の日本の作家の中にも一つ、共通して流れているものとしてある種の不安というものがあるのではないかと思います。というのも文化の継続、持続というものがあって、その続いてきた文化というものが時の流れの中で失われてしまう、そういった喪失に対する恐れというのが根底にあるのではないかと感じています。
And in this novel, Hakase no Aishita Suushiki, you are presenting the idea of a world which does not change with time. It's a world which is not time variant, and for that, the way you have introduced the idea through the world of numbers, and the professor who guides us to that world, he can point at the North Star earlier than anybody else. North Star is always in a position which does not vary with time.
その上でこの作品「博士の愛した数式」の中では時を超えても変化しない世界が描かれていると思います。つまりそれが数の世界、数の世界であってその世界に私たちを誘ってくれるのが博士ではないかと思います。その意味で博士は暗くなる前から北極星の位置を指し示すことができる人であり、その北極星の位置というのが決して変わらないものなのではないかと思います。
Now that the world of numbers, world of mathematics can be very successfully used to give us an idea of that world, which is a bigger world, not of apparent everyday reality. How the idea flashed in your mind, that is what I am curious to know.
そして作品の中でこの数字の世界、数学の世界というのが決して変わらない大きな世界をうまく表現していると私は感じたのですけれども、このアイディアというのは小川さんはどのようにひらめいたのかお話しいただけますでしょうか。
数字あるいは数学っていうのは非常に無機質なものだと。 文学からかけ離れたものだという先入観があったんです。ところが、数学者たちと話をする機会があって、数学者たちが非常にその数に対して愛を持って接する。数そのものにまるで人格があるかのように、数に接する。そして、数字っていうのは誰が作り出したのかわからない人間ではない何者かによって作られた永遠のものである。その永遠を研究しているんだっていうことに対して、ある種の数学者たちはみんな畏怖の念ですね、恐れの念を抱いて、わかりやすく言えば偉大なものの前にひざまずくようにして数と向き合っている。そういう姿にまず接したのが最初です。
So before, I had a sort of a prejudice that the numbers or the word of mathematics are very different from the word of literature. However, I was given an opportunity to talk to some mathematicians, and I could tell that they treat numbers with love. They treat numbers as if they treat human beings with certain characters. And numbers are, of course, not made by human beings. However, it was created by someone, and it exists in eternity. In that sense, I could tell the sense of fear towards eternity when I look at mathematicians, and that fear means that what they do is as they give vows to the great things. So first of all, I was given that opportunity to see that how mathematicians treat numbers.
そして人間は自分の寿命という有限の中に閉じ込められている存在です。いくら永遠を求めてもそれは手に入らない。それは空の遠くにしかない。博士はしかしルート君という少年と出会うことで、ルート君に数の美しさを伝えることで、自分の記憶を若い幼い者に伝えることで、自分の命を自分の命と彼の命がそこでつながった。何か有限なんだけど、有限と有限と有限をつないで無限にしていくというようなそういうイメージです。
And the human beings are confined to limited time, I would say. In that sense, we will not be able to get eternity. It's not possible because it's something up in the sky. However, in the novel, the professor meets a boy called Root, and he teaches the beauty of a number. And that is like passing the professor's memories to the younger generation. In that sense, the life of the professor and the life of Root are connected in some sense. And when the finite things and another finite things are connected, then that can be transcend to eternity.
And this is my I'm personally curious to know at the end of the novel, somewhere it is said that when the professor was sent to a care home, when he used to walk along the corridor towards the lounge, from his silhouette image, he could be identified only through the Enatsu card, which is an object of true love between the child and professor, Root and professor. So that the card is hanging from the neck, from that professor could be identified. So is it, even if faintly, a metaphor?
はい、そして私が個人的に非常に興味があって伺いたい質問なんですけれども、博士の愛した数式の一番最後の部分になるんですが、施設に入った博士がラウンジに向かう廊下を歩くシルエットが描かれています。でそこで博士は胸にエナツカードを下げていて、私はこれがルートと博士の間の真の愛を表現しているのではないかと感じました。この首からかけたカードによって博士が博士であるということがわかるということです。でこの描写は何らかのメタファーとして書かれているのでしょうか。
何かを訴えたい、何かを読者に伝えたいという、そういう積極的な意図をここに込めたわけではないんです。もう書いている途中で、もうごく自然にここに最後到着した。もう物語の流れに身を任せているうちにラストがこうなったという印象なんです。
So actually, I didn't have any clear intention that I wanted to tell my readers when I wrote this part, and rather than that, I went along with the flow of this story. Then the story took me to this part at the end. This is something like that.
ただ、しかし書き終わった後、いろんな読者の方から感想をいただいたんですが、その博士がぶら下げているカードには、エナツのカード、エナツの背番号は28です。完全数です。つまり、博士とルートの間には、誰にも犯せない完全な絆がここに成立しているという意味をここに読み取ってくれた読者の方は大勢いました。
So, however, after I finished writing, I have received lots of comments from my readers, and many of them gave me the feedback that in the card there is the number 28 on Enatsu's uniform, and 28 is a perfect number. And many readers said that from that depiction, they thought that perfect number is the symbolization of perfect connection or a perfect bond between Hakase, the professor, and root. And that is the connection which cannot be violated by anybody.
そして、もう記憶を失って、ルート君のことがわからなくなった博士だけれども、2人がキャッチボールをする場面があるんですね。ボールを投げ合う。その場面について、ボールプーというのは丸。これインド人の方が発見したとされているゼロですね。9、0、ボールというゼロを2人でやり取りしている。ゼロ、無でありながら2人の間に心が通い合っている。無だからこそ余計な邪悪なものに何にも邪魔されないで、ただひたすら無をあっちにやったりこっちに投げたりして、博士とルート君が無をやり取りしている、ゼロをやり取りしている。これも非常に2人の関係をよく表しているというふうに、読んでくださった方もいました。
And also, after the professor lost his memory, there is the depiction that the professor and Root play catchball together. And if you think about the shape of ball, that is same as the shape of the number 0, which is the number found by Indian mathematician. And doing catchball means that the professor and Root are exchanging 0, meaning that there is nothing evil there, and there is just the void or just the pure things there, and through doing the catchball, they're exchanging the concept or idea. That is another comment I received from my readers.
This idea of mu, the zero, I mean a void. Now people are slowly understanding that contribution of Japanese civilization and literature. And this idea really enriches me. I never thought about this, that the move between Root and the professor was ensuring the fullest understanding from each other, the connectivity between the two persons. I really enjoy knowing this. And the next question, as I decided to ask, I think to a certain extent, Ogawa-san has written about it in the other novel, this Hisoyakana Kessho. I wanted to ask that with the internet and several other internet-based channels, in various ways people are interacting, people are gathering information. How is it going to influence the role of literature, the form of literature, and also role of literature in society?
はい、今お話にあった、ゼロの中の無の概念というところですけれども、私はこの無という概念が日本文明、そして、日本文学に非常に大きな影響を与えているのではないかと思います。でそういった中で、このルートと博士のキャッチボールというのが、その、ある意味、完全な、概念、そしてそれがつながりを象徴しているということを非常に興味深く伺いました。そして次の質問なんですけれども、これは博士を愛した数式だけではなく、小川さんの他の作品、例えばひそやかな結晶に描かれていることからも、読み取れることでもあるかと思うんですが、インターネットですとか、あるいはそのインターネットを使ったさまざまなチャンネルというのが人々の関わり合い方、そして情報の収集の方法というのを変えてきていると思います。これが社会における文学の役割そして文学に対してどのような影響を与えているとお考えになりますか？
そういうそのスマホ一つで、いろんな情報を好きなだけ得ることができる、顔も知らない人ともすぐつながることができる、一見便利な道具です。しかし文学っていうのはそれと正反対の役割をずっと果たしてきたわけですね。たった一人で一つの本を開くというこの静かな行為は、自分と登場人物たちとの一対一の言葉のない会話です。これはこの今のインターネット社会の中の対極にある行為でしょうね、多分。
So now with smartphone, you can access any information anytime as much as you want, and you are also able to connect with people you don't know. In that sense, it could be very convenient. However, I would say the role of literature has been very opposite to the role of the internet. So when you read a book, you open one book alone in a quiet environment, and by doing so, you are able to have conversation with characters without actually speaking to them. So that is very much different, and I would say the opposite from what the internet society provides.
ですからインターネット社会に、なっても 人間は文学を必ず必要とすると、私は信じて小説を書き続けて、います。やはり人間には完全な孤独の時間っていうのが必要です。それがなければ自分とは何者かということを問いかける時間は持てないんじゃないかと信じています。
So, however, even in the internet society, I believe that the literature is something we need, and because we human beings need a sort of perfect loneliness, and otherwise we will not be able to ask who we are.
Yes. Initially, these are the questions they appeared in my mind, and there are many other questions. Just now, what I find is a very crucial question to me is about the language of translation from the point of view of the author. I will continue, but if you interpret it, then I will continue the next part.
はい、私が事前に伺いたいなと思っていた質問は、今伺うことができたんですけれども、それ以外にも、私が非常に重要だと考える質問を伺っていきたいと思います。で、まずは翻訳、そして翻訳の言語の果たす役割について、著者の立場から伺いたいと思います。
Just a small example is that since we have to mostly read through English translation, in Hakase no shita suushiki, that zero was invented by an Indian mathematician. That information is not there in the English translation. And also that description of a silhouette image of professor at the end of the novel, that too was missing. So there are several places where I found that a reader who gets to read through his mother tongue, in my case, the Bengali translation, can more easily imagine the situation and the relationship between the different characters, because we belong to the Eastern civilizations, and our relationship with the Western civilization is slightly complicated. It's not always so direct that we can imagine the Japanese situation. So, in view of that, any point of concern that she may have?
まず日本文学の翻訳を読むということになったとき、最も触れやすいのは英語版の翻訳なのではないかと思います。ただ、博士の愛した数式の英語版の翻訳を見ていますと、例えば、先ほどもお話に出た、ゼロを発明したのはインド人の数学者だというお話がありましたけれども、この描写に関しては、英語の翻訳には入っていませんし、そして最後の博士の施設でラウンジに向かう廊下のシルエットのお話も出てきましたけれども、こちらの描写も少し異なっていました。そういった意味で、いくつかのフレーズの描写がない、あるいは異なっていたわけです。ですので、読者の立場からすると、母語で読んだ方が、私の場合、ベンガル語で読んだ方が、おそらく状況を想像しやすかったり、あるいはキャラクターの関係性を理解しやすいという状況があるかと思います。というのも、私たちは同じ東洋文明に属しているわけでありまして、そういった意味で、様々な ことを、決して直接的には表さないという日本の状況をベンガル語の読者は理解しやすいということもあるかと思います。で、こういったところに関しまして、何か小川さんの方で、懸念ですとか、あるいは何かお考えがあればお聞かせいただけると幸いです。
はい。自分の小説が何か他の言語に翻訳されるときに何か失われるものもあるだろう。その代わり何かもしかしたら別なものがプラスされるということも起こり得るだろうというふうに、考えます。で、それはもう私の手を離れて、この翻訳家とその翻訳された国の読者の間で起こる作用、私の作品とその国の人々の間でどういう関係が結ばれるかということは、もう実は作者自身はそこまで手出しできないですね。ある種の諦めというと消極的ですけれど、もうその自分の書いた小説が持っている運命を信じるというような心境です。
So when my novels are translated, I think that something might be lost when it's translated, and I think it is also possible that something is added because of translation. However, when my works are translated, there is actually nothing I can do because the interactions between my works in that language and in the readers are created by translators and the readers. So it might sound a little bit negative, but in that sense, I give up to make some influence. And I just believe in the destiny of the work I created.
There is a question from an admirer of the author. The question has been passed on to me, and it asks, what is the significance of Euler's formula, the reference in the story?
はい、そして今、一つ質問が入ってきたんですけれども、このストーリーの中で、博士を愛した数式のストーリーの中で、オイラーの、公式の意味するものはどういったものがあるんでしょうか。
はい、あれも小説を書く前にいろいろな数学者の方にの本を読んだり取材をさせていただく中で、一番好きな数式は何ですかというふうにお尋ねしたときに、ほとんど全員の方がオイラーの公式を挙げたんですね。ですから数学の世界でオイラーのあの公式は何かものすごく世界を簡潔に美しく表現した数式なんだと想像します。
Before I wrote this novel, I read lots of books about mathematics, and I also did lots of interviews with mathematicians. And one of the questions I asked to them was that, what is your favorite formula, mathematical formula? And many of them replied that they like Euler's formula the most. And I believe that the reason why the many mathematicians replied that is the Euler's formula represents the simplicity and the beauty of mathematics.
オイラーの公式も最後イコールゼロなんですよね。イコールゼロ、最後ゼロになる、ないけどあるという矛盾を表した、ちょっと哲学的と言ってもいい、その人間にとって一種の謎を数字によって、明確に表してくれる、そういう私も好きな公式です。
And when you look at Aura's formula, actually it ends with 0. It ends equal to 0. That means that there is something there, but there is nothing at the same time. So I think the contradiction in this formula represents some sort of a philosophical concept, meaning that I believe this is the mathematical or numerical representation of humans and mystery. And actually, this is one of my favorite mathematical formula as well.
Yes, that's what also the message came to me, that the mystery, that certain thing is existing, it is true, but to visualize it through everyday reality, the material situation, is very difficult. Like E, the constant, is an infinite series. Then I, the imaginary number, is difficult to view how it occurs. And E raised to the power I into pi is the ratio. The practical world does not immediately allow me to imagine how it is happening, but I can feel and I am sure that it occurs, and it is something very specific. It exists, but in my heart, as the professor used to say, it is in our mind. So that is a lesson, in a philosophical lesson, I thought.
はい、そして、私が受け取ったメッセージといたしましては、謎ということをおっしゃいましたけれども、何かが確実に存在しているのに、しかしそれを視覚化すること、目で見る捉えることが非常に難しい。つまり日常にあふれる物質的なもので捉えるのは難しいということも意味しているのではないかと思います。で、この公式は、E、I、パイというところで始まりますけれども、日常のものがあって、しかしそこに愛があって、何かが起きているけれども何かはわからない。しかし、そこには何か具体的なものが存在するということをパイが表していて、これが博士が作品の中で言っていたように、心の中にある、そこにはある存在しているけれども、捉えることができないということを示しているのではないかと私は感じました。
そうですね。心の中にはあることはわかるんだけれど、存在はしているんだけど、どう表現していいかわからない。特に言葉でそれを表現しろと言われたら、もうできない。人間が最も心を動かされたときは、言葉にならないと言います。ですから、本当に小説の中で作家が伝えなければいけないことは、本来言葉では表現できないものだ。ですから、作家っていうのはそういう矛盾をと常に背中合わせにいるなというふうに思います。
Yes, so it's there in your heart, meaning it exists in your heart. It's there. However, it's not possible to represent or depict that, especially with language. When you are asked to represent something exists there in your heart in language, it's not possible. For instance, when you are moved by something very much, you would say speechless. So, in that sense, what writers have to do with novel is to depict something which cannot be depicted with a language or words. So, in that sense, we always have to live with that contradiction.
博士はそこが数学者なので、家政婦さんに対して、君の誕生日と僕の腕時計の刻まれてる数字は友愛数だねっていう、そういう事実を言うだけで、自分の言葉にできない感情を家政婦さんに伝えている。 なんか数字を使って言葉にできないことを表現できる、そういう数学者だったんじゃないでしょうかね。
And as the professor is a mathematician, when he say that your birthday and the number which is engraved on my watch are amicable numbers, when he says this, actually he is trying to tell something that cannot be explained in language, but by using numbers. So in that sense, he is trying to explain something which cannot be explained with numbers.
With language is. So these were basically my questions. And do you have any questions?
So we can move on to the next. Thank you, Professor Mukherjee and Yoko-san, for that very illuminating exchange of views on fiction, on writing, on mathematics, on the craft of the novelist and the craft of the translator. And personally, for me as a publisher, it is really a great honor to be able to bring Japanese literature to Bengali readers from the original, translated from the original Japanese.
And I would like to just express that in this short span, I have really learned something very significant. I'll think about it when I go home about different ideas. So for me, it has been a very beneficial discussion, this opportunity. And I'm really so impressed by the quality of interpretation that you have done. It is unbelievably good. I mean, how could you do it so well? I am really full of astonishment by the quality of your interpretation.
Thank you. 私の方から聞きたい質問は以上になります。そして、本日短い時間ではありましたけれども、本当に素晴らしいお話を伺うことができまして、私にとっても大きな意味のある素晴らしい時間になりました。家に帰ってからまた思い返して考えてみたいことが様々浮かんできました。ありがとうございました。
私も自分の小説がこんなに大勢の方々のご協力のもとに遠い世界で、読者のもとに届いているんだなっていうことを実感することができて、本当にありがたい気持ちになりました。
And I was able to actually feel that with the cooperation of many people, my novels are able to arrive the global leaders. And through this event, through the conversation, I was able to know that, and I am very thankful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. We come now to the last part of our program, and we are very happy that Kitaba Katsura-san of the cultural section of the Consulate General of Japan has been able to join us. There were some little technical problems at the beginning. Welcome formally, though you have been listening for quite some time, Katsura-san. May I request you to say a few words?
Thank you very much. Mr. Koji Sato, Director General, Japan Foundation, New Delhi. Ms. Yoko Ogawa, the eminent Japanese novelist. And Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, Professor and Bengali translator. Dr. Abhijit Gupta, Director, JU Press. And good morning and namaskar. And at the first, I'm very sorry for delayed participation due to technical problem. 申し訳ございませんでした。And Ogawa Sensei and Mukherjee Sensei, thank you very much for organizing a wonderful session. ありがとうございます。And our consulate is very happy to participate in this book launch today. At the very outset, we would like to extend our deep appreciation to Ms. Yoko Ogawa, the exceptionally talented novelist and Japanese Literary Award winner for her excellent literary achievement. Onker Jogot or Odhyapoker Prem is a nice translation of the enchanting novel The Housekeeper and the Professor, Hakase no Aishita Suushiki, became an instant bestseller in Japan. A bit to present such an interesting and engrossing story to the Bengali readership, Professor Abhijit Mukherjee very thoughtfully undertook the responsibility of translating the novel to Bengali from the original Japanese version. In this perspective, we would like to convey our sincere gratitude to Japan Foundation and JU Press for their effort to publish the translated version of Hakase no Aishita Suushiki in Bengali, and for arranging this special platform which gave all of us an opportunity to listen to some interesting conversation between Ogawa sensei and the translator of her book, Abhijit Mukherjee sensei. Before I conclude, we thank all of you for joining this session. We hope that every interested reader will enjoy this book and that it becomes a bestseller here also. Thank you very much. どんなば
どうもありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Now, finally, we are able to show you the actual translated book. Professor Mukherjee, if you can please hold this up for our viewers. These are the, this is the translated volume. It's the cover is designed by Shohini Sengupta, a young artist, and we are very happy. We cannot. I'm sorry that you cannot see more closely than this. So this is this is the. Sorry, this is the camera is not perhaps.
Two objects.
Just a second. We'll just turn off the blurring. Yes. Now I think we should be able to see it more clearly. This is the.
綺麗な紫色です。
And this is the back of that book. This goes on sale from tomorrow, and I hope the Bengali readers will like it and will cherish the work. I have no doubt that they will.
はい、今ご覧いただきましたのが実際に実際の本なんですけれども、こちらショヒニ・シャングラプトという若いアーティストがカバーをデザインいたしまして、こちら明日発売となります。で、ベンガル語の読者にも、大きく非常に素晴らしく受け入れられる絵本になると確信をしております。
まあ、そうですね。インドは優秀な数学者がたくさん出ておられますものね。
Yeah, and especially India is the country with the lots of great mathematicians.
Thank you. And finally, it is my pleasure to request my colleague, Shutishmita Ghosh, who was also involved in the task of copy editing this translation, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. I am truly honored, and it's a privilege to thank everyone who joined today, especially Ogawa-san. We're very, very grateful to you for joining us, and of course, Professor Abhijit Mukherjee for his wonderful questions and the true sense of the translation that he has discussed here for our readers and everyone who has joined us. A special thanks and a sincere gratitude to Ansato-san for her assistance in making this conversation possible. It wouldn't have been this smooth and wonderful without her help. We especially thank the Director General, Koji Sato-san, Ai Shimaru, and all of their colleagues at the Japan Foundation in New Delhi for all their assistance in making this event possible and for their continuing support for JUP's translations. We thank Kitaba Katsura-san for representing the cultural section of the Consulate General of Japan in Kolkata and their attendance and the kind words. Finally, and certainly not the least, especially Orunabha Banerjee, Oyon Chatterjee, Amritesh Bishash from the School of Cultural Text and Records, and of course Jadavpur University Press for all their assistance in creating this live stream and all of their logistical assistance. And finally, I would also like to mention that, as Professor Gupta said, the book will be available to readers to buy from bookstores in College Street in Calcutta, as well as our online platforms. And we have a small feedback form for you to share your thoughts and questions or any comments that you may have at the end of this stream. It will be available on all our social media platform, as well as the live stream comment. I believe Orunabha is taking care of that. So thank you once again. Our sincere gratitude to everyone who joined. We are very, very honored to have this online so that everyone can join from different parts of the world. And we look forward to having a wonderful book fair in Calcutta end of this month, so where we'll get to meet the readers and hear their thoughts. So thank you once again. We're very, very grateful.